Dr. Rajeshwari Rapata from India and Dr. Torako Yui from Japan and Jon Gamble from Australia. And today our talk will be about toxins, about pollution, about the human DNA and all the mistakes we did as mankind and the soup we created and now have to eat. This is a German proverb. You create your soup and then you have to eat it. So I would like you to introduce yourself and your main topic to our listeners, and then we will start with our interdisciplinary talk. Who wants to start?
Yes. Okay. I'm Dr. Rajeshwari Rapata, and I'm a senior homeopathic consultant here in India, practicing at Mumbai and Pune. And I've been the ex-dean of a medical college, homeopathic medical college, and I have been in the department of anatomy, doing the dissection and all. Apart from that, I've been practicing in the rural homeopathic medical colleges, OPDs. Today I'll be talking about the traditional system, that is how different herbal things are there which are effective in the air pollution, and also about the Irish system, the homeopathy, how it works in curing the various ailments caused by the pollution.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Torako, would you like to go on?
Okay. I am a homeopath and I am a farmer too. And I came back from England to Japan for 25 years ago. I started to learn homeopathy in the UK. Then, however, many patients are waiting me, Japanese patients waiting me to back to Japan. Mm-hmm. And I back to Japan to treat incurable disease. So many people suffer the very difficult disease. But then homeopathy can approach to the incurable disease more easier than normal homeopathy. Then homeopathy is consider human as a trinity, body, mind, soul. There are three types of illness. Body illness and mind illness and soul illness. It means that we need to treat them individuality. So that is my Zen homeopathy I discovered in Japan.
Mm-hmm. This is very nice because even Hahnemann said we have to think of everything. And we know we have toxins on the physical level, toxins on the emotional level, toxins on the mental level, and toxins even on the spiritual level.
Yes, exactly.
Jon.
Yes, Jon Gamble from Australia. I have been in practice as a homeopath for over 3 decades. I use traditional remedies, but I also like to combine them with isopathic viruses, toxins, all potentized up to try and detoxify whatever the toxic buildup is in the patient. So, for example, thinking about pesticides and herbicides, those things are very, very relevant to people who have autism. So, my big areas of interest are chronic fatigue syndrome, gut diseases, and autism.
So this is an interesting topic we all share, autism. Maybe we start there and have a look on the combination of toxins and autism. From my personal experience, I know the combination between vaccines and autism. From Torako, I heard that they have a lot of problems with violent autism in the region of Nagasaki where the plutonium bomb went down. And maybe each of you could talk a bit about toxins and autism and what you did see and meet and how you handle it. Who wants to start?
I can go first if you like.
Yeah,
Since
yeah,
I mentioned autism. So what's really important in looking at a child with autism is to look at the timeline of medical events or happenings, not just of the patient, him or herself, but of the previous 2 generations as well. Because those things leave their imprint on the DNA, which is then passed on from one generation to the next. So even though your patient may be living in a pristine environment, minimal toxins, maybe even not vaccinated, if, to give you an example, his parent as a child had a vaccine reaction, let's say to the MMR vaccine, even though the autistic child hasn't had that vaccine, he's still affected by the reaction that the parent had when they were a child. So making sure your timeline goes all the way, at least another generation, to think about the things that may have left their imprint on the DNA that's passed on. And so with toxins, I mentioned 2 of them before, pesticides and herbicides like Roundup. You mentioned vaccine side effects, other things such as pet shampoos, mothers who might use a pet shampoo while they're pregnant, that's relevant.
wow.
Any chemical which is designed to take the life of a weed or to take the life of an insect is relevant to dealing with toxic buildup in people with autism.
Wow, this is a great information that I did not have before. Thank you for that, Jon. Who would like to answer?
Yes, coming to me, shall I speak? Yeah. So when we come to talk about the air pollution or the environmental pollution, first I would like to tell about, because this is the week that is going on about the mental health, mental health week. So all the pollution which is occurring, what is the base behind that? So mental pollution. Don't you think that the reason for the environmental pollution is the mental pollution? The different kinds of ego and the vices like greed, all this is leading to the environmental pollution. As a homeopath, when we study the patient, when the patient comes to us, we find the root cause, isn't it? So while coming to the root cause, this is a global issue, not an individual person's issue. And the global issue is caused by the collection of people who are going through these kind of mental pollution. So the basic thing is we need to look out for the reasons for the global pollutions, whatever the air pollution or environmental pollution is happening, the pesticides, use of fertilizers, whatever Dr. Jon has just now said. Don't you think that this is the reason? So depending on that, the treatment which we give, homeopathic treatment, should be based on that outlook. Now, when we come to the traditional methods in ancient India, okay, there was no such thing like pollution, and people used to use the herbal things at home to keep the environment and the air clean. The use of neem leaves, as I did extra, and use of benzoin for making the fumes. Just Mary had seen on the Facebook, I had uploaded one video using the benzoin fumes to cleanse the air surroundings of the house. And then using of the neem leaves, which we use traditionally during the festivals and all, we used to tie the neem leaves to the door so that it remains clean, and it also has antiseptic properties. So using of all these herbal things is a traditional part of Indian life. We use marigold, which is the calendula, also for the festivals and all. Use of tulsi leaves. So there are so many herbal things which we use almost every day in the household things. So the use of turmeric, it's also a great you can say broad spectrum antibiotic. So these things, usage of these things is reducing day by day. Previously, it was used every day, but recently what is happening is people are just avoiding these things and going for the chemically made, using preservatives and all that. And that is also a pollutant, adulterants, which are used to the materials which we eat, which are edible, which are available in the malls, packed materials. So all these are adding up to the pollution. Apart from that, the medicines, homeopathic medicines, which I have used for certain kinds of allergies, which are produced because of these air pollutants. Sulfuric acid is one, which is generally used. Smog, those areas which are having a lot of smog, and people have the bronchial complaints, become asthmatic, have a chronic cough, and such people. Sulfuric acid I have used many times. Apart from that, the pothos is also one medicine, pothos foetidus. That also I have used many times for the asthmatic complaints. Of course, the individual symptoms we see, and depending on that, I prescribe those medicines. Ammonium carb is one thing. Sulfur is there for many skin complaints which are caused because of the pollutants. So in this way, I have treated many people who have been suffering from allergies and from the bronchial complaints due to the environmental pollutions. That's it.
Did you see autism cases as well?
Yes.
So you in India are aware about the combination between pollution and autism?
I didn't relate to autism here. I relate only about the air pollutants.
Okay.
Yeah, and the usage of the herbal medicines or the leaves, different leaves, and the traditional things which can be used to avoid the pollution at the environmental level at the home. Yeah. So people can use these things at home and avoid the artificial things, and adulterated foods and all.
Yes, I understand. We had this in Europe too. 100 years ago, problems were different. Yeah. People did use the herbs, people did eat natural things. Yes. And now it is all artificial food, artificial drinks, and the air in the towns is polluted like nothing. If we think of Munich or Berlin, it is quite foggy there.
Yes.
Torako, how is this in Japan?
Yeah, I had 200 the autism patient, and then mostly I gave to vaccine remedy. So in Japan, quite compulsory, I could say. They have to say 11 kind of vaccine. When people become 3 years old, they have that repeating sometimes 20 times. They are repeating of their vaccine. So I give the vaccine remedy. Also, I give the antibiotics remedy. Erase the vaccine, erase the antibiotics, erase heavy metal, mercury, alumina, trombone, such kind of thing. Then these patients are much better. So, there are two brains. One brain, this brain. Another brain, the gut brain. So gut brain is the, antibiotics. At the same time, vaccine, some vaccine increase antibiotics, you see. If you do so, they attacking the brain as well as the gut blood flora. So
Yes.
both brain stop to thinking.
Mm-hmm.
This meaning they cannot speak out, no language at all. They cannot coordinate at all. So blood flora, intestine blood flora, most important thing to get obtain high immune system. Also, a brain barrier. We have a brain barrier, but somehow in a vaccine, there are sorbate 80 in it. Sorbate 80, like a emulsify wax, such kind of thing is easy to let them into the brain inside of heavy metal. They bring into the inside of brain. Also, alumina bring into the inside the brain. So therefore, autism people is very much they could not do limitant of their language, also their emotion. Mainly emotion come gut brain. So they are targeting who always pharmaceutical people are declining in the world population maybe, then our children have suffer such a bad thing to do, vaccine, and also the antibiotics, also the glyphosate, pesticide. So they are stupid. So also artificial food, this kind of stuff. We made it, we made the meaning. So adults, they want to have the money, they want to have a high stature. Then children's life is so declining. So we have to think it. We have to stop with such kind of thing. I think nowadays, I believe that only one of remedy does work remarkably. I don't think so. So many poison there, artificial poison, man-made poison, natural poison, so many poison there, you see. Do you think only one remedy can help everything? No, not at all. We have to do so many things to this autism people. Then 80% autism out of 200 people. So 80% are they can go normal school. So therefore, I could say vaccine is an enormous effort to become autism. Also, but nodules help a lot to the autism too. Also, the mercury, heavy metal remedy is also helping to, they have become, they can talk, they have, they can see face to face the mommy and then autism boy or girl. By the way, autism, it seems like a boy is a lot of occur than girl, because boys gene is one stream with the lack of, you see, and then girls is a Y there. The boy X and Y, so therefore they cannot replace, because only one X their boy. If they damage the brain damage or whatever, gut damage there, they cannot replace, not easily than girls. That's I felt.
So you see, in boys, it's more difficult to treat and to repair.
That's right.
Okay. That's interesting.
So I can make a little summary, I think,
Yeah,
of what's
good.
been said. I'll try and make a little summary. So toxins have been talked about, and that includes things like antibiotics. It includes things like glyphosate. It includes various toxins that float around in the air, toxins in our food, petrochemical toxins used in our homes in place of turmeric or neem, pesticides, herbicides, etc. So what's happening is these toxins enter the body and do some damage or cause some upset and are not excreted. The detoxification or excretion pathways are not functioning properly in the autistic child. So the toxins and the damage that they do are held inside. And so this is why, yes, so this is why knowing what the toxins are and knowing how to target them for excretion and to open up what's called the methylation pathways, which is the detoxification pathways, is very important. And I was just going to add something about why it's more difficult to treat boys than girls, just picking up on that comment, if I may. And that comes to what's called KPU, or cryptopyruria, which is a inherited genetic defect whereby your zinc and your vitamin B6 are not stored and not assimilated properly. So you become very high in copper.
Yes.
This is called pyrrole disorder, pyrrole. In males, in boys, it is the nervous system, which is primarily affected by having high pyrroles. In females, it is more the gut that is affected. So when we think about neurological disturbances, and that includes disturbances in cognition and cognitive function, it's more difficult with the males because of this pyrrole disorder that occurs.
Thank you.
So while coming, yeah. So coming to this discussion, what I feel is when I study the India about the systems in India, this autism, dyslexia, these things are new terminologies, you know. And previously, some decades ago, there were no such cases. You know? And in India, especially when small children, they used to be kept, their guts have to be kept clean. Indians used to follow certain rituals like having castor oil. You know, it's a purgative, you all know that. So this castor oil used to be used every 1 month or every 3 months when the seasons used to change. Our grandmothers used to give the children the castor oil so that their guts remain clean. And we never found such cases some decades ago. And these are coming nowadays. Increased incidences of autism and all other these behaviors, ADHDs and all these things. So coming to this factor, I would like to ask you all that whether is there any role from the mother to child transmission? What can be the role there? Is there any kind of role? Because you have studied about, done the deep study. So can we discuss about that? Like any transmission from mother to child, genetic transmission or through the psychological evolution, whether there can be any role here.
May I answer? It can be either side. It can come from the mother side of the family, or it can come from the father's side of the family, either side. And it isn't necessarily during pregnancy. It can go to the previous lifetime, the previous generation, or even 2 previous generations. It can be found there. You might say sometimes the patient's mother will say, now that I think about it, his uncle does seem to be a little bit on the spectrum, right? So you can see it can be either side.
Okay. So what I mean to say is structurally, if you find genetically it can be transmitted, but there is certain project which we are doing that's called as the Divine Mother Baby Project. In that we study the psychology of the mother during her pregnancy stages and the development of the baby later on, that what changes occur in that baby and how to promote the wellness of the baby through the transformation of the mother. Okay. And because of that, we are deeply into studying these things, that how this kind of disorders in the baby are transmitted from the mother through psychological aspects and genetically. So there is certain concept there that this genetics which we are talking about, which happens, the changes happen in the genes basically. So these changes in the genes are stimulated by the psychosocial environment around. So the pollution which we are talking, this pollution need not be only the air pollution or any artificial type of pollution. This pollution can be the psychological pollution surrounding that mother, either the relatives or the society or whatever the affections happening on the mother's mind, that kind of pollution. So that can also have an impact on the baby.
Yes, that reminds me on a story Torako told me, the story about the butterflies. You remember, Torako?
Yeah, yeah.
Could you tell the colleagues about that butterfly story? Because this is very interesting.
Yeah, okay. Before I talk about butterfly, I would like to talk about the autism. Those boys, no vaccine, no medical intervention at all, but he got autism because mother refused vaccine. Yes, mother refused chemical into his body. Yes. So this is a very problem for me. Why he got autism? You know what the problem is? This family is they use a lot amount of antibiotics. Mother's bowel flora is really bad. Also, father's bowel flora is not good at all. So this is, many Japanese people easy to take antibiotics. This is bowel flora is not normal. That couple, they made a baby. Their baby bowel flora also damages us. So this meaning bowel flora making DNA to repair if it's the normal bowel flora there, you see, but unfortunately, this is a present from mother, father's bowel flora, not good bowel flora, it was. Then that boy cannot speak. Also, their IQ is so low. So this kind of happened there. Then I give a lot of the bowel flora, which is a bowel flora remedy as well as soil bacteria. We cultivate soil bacteria in order to drink, human drink of the soil bacteria, over 600 kind of soil bacteria. I give him to drink every day. So he starts, become speak. He starts, IQ is quite up. When bowel flora become normal, he become normal boy to appearance very good, talk very well. So I believe bowel flora is a replacing to damage of DNA. I believe so. Therefore, it should not take easily of the antibiotics. Bowel flora is a number one of immune system, very important. That's I want to say that. Then butterfly. So in Fukushima, as you remember, 10 years ago, we got a big tsunami and power station bombs. Unfortunately, you know, this living thing are the butterfly. So they lay the baby egg, but they can turn the maggot. However, they cannot turn the butterfly. No, they are cocoon until cocoon they came, but never ever be butterfly. But we bring this egg, damage the DNA, damage the butterfly egg, bring to Okinawa, give good clear water, clear air, clear food, and loving, you know, butterfly sanctuary people loving to this egg. Then this butterfly become beautiful butterfly. So I think food, environment, also their love needs to become normal DNA. Even that butterfly get, you know, DNA damaged by radiation, atomic radiation, so they can change it, you see. That's, this is true happen in Japan.
And this was such a nice story to me, because it makes us really see that if we care from the heart, if we give a good environment, DNA can be repaired. And if butterflies can do that, we can do that too.
Yes.
But it depends on the loving, the caring, and the good food, good water, and clear air. So if we could provide that for our children, a lot of damage could be repaired. But how do we do it? And as Rajeshwari said, in the end, it comes down to power, greed, and dominance. And these are the real illnesses of the human mind, which sooner or later get us in the place where we deteriorate the DNA of our children, and from there on go down the path of decay, which we don't want to do. And if we want to save the planet and humanity, we need to change our attitude. So what would you recommend from your point of view, from your tradition? Who wants to start?
I will tell. So while coming to India back again, in India we have, do you know that in India we consume the buttermilk and the curds regularly. Every day in the meals we have this buttermilk and curds. Every part of India you go, in some or other farm, it is consumed. In Punjab, if you go, you will get a huge glass of buttermilk. You know, it is served for the guests also. And this is very important for the gut flora. Like Torako said that this gut flora, it will improve the mental health of the baby and IQ and all. In the similar way, this curds and the buttermilk. In the afternoons, the curds are suggested to be taken, and in the evenings, at the night, buttermilk is taken. So this is a formula which has been used since ancient times in India. While coming to diet, so our Indian diet formula is scientifically planned. So there were very less incidences in India about this autism, ADHD, and all this. These have come away from some other countries where people have started forgetting about the traditional foods and all. And I doubt that how many families in India regularly consume curds nowadays. Yeah. They would either take the Pepsi or the Thumbs Up with the food, the menu, forgetting the buttermilk and the curds. And many people have started developing allergies also towards the dairy products and all. So this should not happen actually, but what's the reason behind that? So that's it.
So each
Well,
country.
I think also,
John?
I was going to say, India, of course, has its curd, what we call yogurt, but also if you think about the Western civilizations, in Europe, they had the fermented foods, the sauerkraut and so forth. And in Asia, they have their kimchi and those fermented spicy vegetables. But with the modern food practices, which just means people go into the supermarkets and buy prepackaged food, they're not getting their fermented food in the traditional way. And when you add into that a child is given antibiotics in the first 12 months of life for an ear infection or something like that, that makes the problem worse. So the bowel flora, the quality of the human bowel flora, I agree, is becoming more and more degraded with each generation, not only because of antibiotics, but also because of the declining quality of natural food preparation, particularly fermented foods and homegrown vegetables and fruits, which are becoming fewer and fewer available because people are living in high-rise accommodation in cities. So yes, curd, fermented food. We always encourage our patients to make their own kefir yogurt, K-E-F-I-R, kefir, which is very easy to make and gives you one of the best quality fermented products available. And we encourage our patients not to use antibiotics with their children unless they absolutely have to. Save your antibiotics for life-threatening illnesses, not for common things like an ear infection.
Yes.
Use homeopathic remedies instead.
Yes. You know, fermented food in Japan is very famous. Every pickles or every food we have a fermented. Among the people who are exposed to the atomic bomb in the Hiroshima, the many who ate fermented food were healthy without any sequelae and other descendants seems to have huge malformation. So fermented food make, you know, somehow make DNA repair, I can say. Organism have a natural healing power to repair DNA, I could say. Radiation is not only thing that destroyed DNA, I understand this. Artificial chemical or feeling of anger can also damage your DNA. Artificial chemicals, as I said earlier, you know, associated with human unnatural greediness, you know, greed, and also have the negative effect on gene, on the energy level as well. Emotions such as anger also adversely affect gene on the energy level too. So we need, I believe that the origin of human natural healing power is intestinal bacteria, good environment, and good diet, good heart, good faith. That I believe so.
Yes, definitely. And as John said, the old traditions, we have to preserve them. For me, it is sauerkraut, and here in Greece, the yogurt as well, which is very traditional to eat. And something I did really meet here in Greece. In Greece, the people are very simple. We have markets every day nearby where people grow their food. Some do it organic, some don't, unfortunately, because now they know about Roundup and those things. But on the whole, the food that is grown here in Greece tastes totally different to the food in Austria and Germany, where the soil is much more depleted, where we have less sun, and where they use more and more chemical stuff. The taste is so different, it is unbelievable. Especially when I think on beetroots, because I like beetroot juice and make it fresh myself. It tastes totally different. And so, Torako, you did work a lot of soil, on soil and how we can repair soil.
I want to show I am the farmer. The natural farming system I introduced, I make manure myself, leaves manure we made. We have natural seeds which we produce that. And then, so I think this kind of the natural farming is very important because what we eat, what we are. So therefore, food is a very most important thing for the human. So we have the nearby Fuji mountain. So this is our farm. 20 people working me together, and then 300 kind of vegetable crops. We made it. Then we are, natural farming, no pesticides, no glyphosate, no GMO seed at all. Even genome editing seed, never ever, we don't use that. So with together, I have in the morning, I do the homeopath, and then so the daytime, I start to the farmer. So that's kind of life is the most, happier for me. So therefore, I love it. Also, the environment is a very much sort of the healthy environment. The people happy to work with me. So if our mind is crazy, I think in the world is reflecting over the human body, human mind, and human soil. If the world is crazy, this is become because our mind is crazy. If the mind is crazy, it becomes soul is crazy. So how can we resolve it? Food is the main source of human health. Farming is the source of food. Even meat, the fat that livestock eats are farm product. So I think that the person why the world is become unnatural is that agriculture has started to use pesticide, chemical fertilizer, herbicide, and it is no longer natural. Natural is perfect because it was created by a God. So that is why we should practice natural farming. Agriculture should not destroy nature. Soil bacteria decompose and clean anything other than plastic, no matter how dirty it is. it is thankful to soil bacteria that nature can be natural. Soil bacteria underpin our lives, our health, our life, everything. Using chemical fertilizer, pesticides, herbicides, livestock compost containing antibiotics and glyphosate kill the important soil bacteria, hardened and stain the soil. So if soil bacteria die, organic mineral that plant can easily absorb cannot be produced. Then crops will have poor nutrition and low vitality. So the secret of producing a healthy crop is faith, gratitude, and reverence, and compassion for natural farming and soil. The secret to healthy world also lies in faith in people, compassion, and faith in the will of a much greater and noble being God than you, and what want to get closer to them. That is why the world now needs to work on the natural farming. That is, natural farming is our faith. With our faith, I want to regain agriculture where we believe in God and feeling the joy of being alive. When agriculture becomes natural, crops become natural, and people who eat when food become natural, and mind, soil become natural. If people become natural, the world will be also become natural. I believe so. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for showing the videos.
Thank you. That was so wonderful. Actually, I'm so curious to know more things about this farming and using homeopathy for all these things. And you look wonderful in those videos. So happy, and those crops, the flowers, and everything so beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah, this is the way back to nature. And what we are doing, we're using way too much machines. And I think this is like in the butterflies. If you give the love to the plants, and if you do the things by your hands and you reconnect to nature, this has an interacting effect. It heals the human and it heals the plants. What do you think?
I think what you are saying here, connection with nature, which means having your feet and your hands in the earth and having animals around you, is what keeps one grounded and keeps one connected to heart, connected to empathy and compassion.
That's right.
As opposed to getting caught up in the destructive human ego.
Yeah.
It's the destructive human ego which creates all the chemicals and creates all the multinational corporations that want to just make money, as much money as possible, at the expense of destroying local communities and destroying the environment. This is the dangerous human ego which is taking over the world. So the way people can not be caught up in that dangerous ego is to do the kinds of practices that you're describing here, to be grounded and to be connected to nature.
Yeah, I show you the, how much damage by the papilloma vaccine in the Japanese girls. so many girls are suffering side effect of papilloma vaccine. That's only 5 minutes. Please show them. You know, papilloma vaccine is the
Yes.
cervical cancer, anti-cervical cancer vaccine. Only 13 or 14 girls are suffering enormously.
And boys.
This problem. Please go ahead.
Mm.
Yes.
Yeah. They cannot stop. You know, automatically moving, you see. They could not stop.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Also, see, this girl.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, this girl cannot understand.
Mm. Mm. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Dramatic.
Mm. Yeah. Mm. Yeah. Very destructive vaccine. Mm. Yes. Very, very destructive vaccine.
So, you know, our human lives, they make a very low estimate. Is our life is the most important than money, than, you know, that's, I'm very sad of the, this world. Which way going to towards to? I want to know. We have to stop it, such a kind of vaccine. So many people suffer. I have to treat those people. So a lot amount of alumina in it, also made by vaccine virus cultivated made by moss. So this kind of the protein into the bloodstream, most of the protein into the bloodstream. Therefore, most moving that way cannot stop. Oh, I see a lot of this kind of thing. I don't want. So
It's most distressing.
we human, we have to think deeply. We have to stop it. Any more vaccine. But COVID-19, they're going to start to make the vaccine. Also, this is a GMO vaccine. DNA, GMO, messenger RNA, GMO, such kind of vaccine. So this into your bloodstream, then you become, GMO body will be like this happen. So please, if you have even little, goodness for you, please stop with such a kind of, so, I'm so sorry for them, you see.
Yes,
Oh,
it's so destructive, and we
yes.
understand everything.
Yes.
Actually, we have a question now from a young man in Kenya who listens to us, and he asks, how do we balance the forces of consumerism that paints being grounded and connected to nature as backwardness, poverty, and use of machines and technologies as progress and prosperity? Jon, can you answer to this?
The question is, how do we
How do
balance?
we balance the forces between consume and thinking that the work Torako does, this grounded farming, is something backwardness, and the using of machines? Yes, the Africans were told that this would lead to progress and prosperity.
Every day, one has to find a way to ground. By grounding, what I mean by that is get out of your head. No thoughts. Being on the ground, having your hands in the earth, patting your dog and taking your dog for a walk, doing your yoga, something that involves not thinking. It's in the place of not thinking, but being in nature where you can see the right perspective for your life. You can't find it in thoughts. Thoughts will take you into the dominating, destructive human ego, and you'll get caught up in the idea of progress and making lots of money and doing things as quickly as possible to get to your goal. It's not always the right way, but it's so easy to get caught up in the mainstream dogma unless you can find a way to ground every day. And it's in the space of not thinking, when you are grounded, that you'll see the reality of your life more clearly, in which way you're going.
Yes.
Torako?
Okay. When, famine time came, will possible, lack of food time will come in the future. Do you know, can you eat money? Can you nutrition to buy money? When you eat, money is nothing. Paper and coin, copper. Yes, but when you have a soil, when you have a nice pips seed, this one, when you give that love to grow, this one will give you good nutrition. This is a diamond.
Yeah.
Monies are not edible at all.
True. Rajesh,
So,
what do you
yeah,
think?
when
Yes,
please.
yeah, coming to a balancing between the consumerism and the health. Okay, so when you coming to that, you have to mind our mind, so that we should be totally conscious and aware of the things which we are doing when we are reflecting on what we are buying to eat. Okay, what is edible, what is not edible. Okay, just to for the satisfying the hunger, eating anything, okay, or producing anything to satisfy our greed or egos, then that won't balance. So understanding these things, once we are aware, minding our mind, at that time we'll be conscious, we'll reflect on what we are doing. So that should be the thing. So once everybody thinks in this way, is conscious of his doings and being introspective of things which we are doing, at that time these things will reduce. So at that time, automatically there will be balance between the consuming and maintaining the health. That is what I believe. For example, I can say that when I suggest the people, patients, to have a balanced diet, those who are especially obese and are having diabetes and all, I ask them to balance. Have amount of one vessel of rice is there, to balance it with double or triple the amount of the salads and fruits so that carbohydrates don't go into the stomach. So somewhere in that way, we have to balance.
Right. So even the not rich soil, if you make ally with the soil bacteria, you can make a big amount of vegetable, also the crops, also the rice, matter of soil bacteria. If it's soil bacteria, many soil bacteria there, they are promising you good harvest season will come. That is true. Same as intestine body flora. If you are using your intestine body flora and keep nice to being the intestine body flora, no give the antibiotics, also no give the pesticides in the soil. This is exactly the same. They will give you, promise you, herbicides. So many harvest you will obtain. Please, African people, please use soil bacteria. With Japan, we cultivate this soil bacteria. So if you want to have, please contact us. We will bring to send it to Africa to become rich soil.
Rajesh, I hope you did listen that you can get real good soil bacteria from Torako and that it will make it easier for you to grow vegetables even in your country, even with the dryness and maybe the neglected soil.
Yes, that's definitely. I promise you that I have been a farmer for 15 years. When I found the soil bacteria, over 600 kind of soil bacteria, we get a big harvest season every year. We get a big amount of, harvest we can obtain. So this is the same as our body flora too. We have to obtain nutritional thing from the intestine. This is a we lean on of body flora. So take nice to them. No, give the artificial thing or the drug or whatever. No, not at all.
That is incredible.
Yeah. Now we have a comment from Italy, from Pierluigi, who says that it is very interesting to him. He doesn't understand too good English, but I know that he has a lot of horses and olive trees in Tuscany. And I guess for the olive trees as well as for the horses, it would be very important to go with these soil bacteria as well.
That's right.
Because you don't need any herbicides then for the olive trees if they have the right bacteria.
Yeah, and because of our skin, we have a lot of bacteria on it. Yes, even our mouth, a lot of bacteria in it. This is the protection bacteria. Therefore, even coronavirus, people use a lot of alcohol to make clean. Don't do it. This is a natural bacteria there to protect you, It's very important, this one. So horses is a very much sort of sensitive animal. So they knew how much environment damage. They knew it. So if it's soil bacteria there, that horses will calm down, will be gentle because they are happier, because protection, they knew it, protection is over me also inside. The inside of the stem of the, intestine also protected by bacteria. So they knew it. So I think many anger children. So I give this soil bacteria to drink. they have become so calm down.
Oh, maybe, Zachus, if you still listen to us, you should recommend this to Martha, who deals with the behavioral disordered children, that she might use these gut bacteria and just give them to drink a bit of it. This could be a very easy thing. And Pierluigi just writes that he uses effective organisms for the gardens. He didn't use for the horses yet, obviously.
This is a soil bacteria. And then, you know, quite smelly because butyric acidum, butyric acidum in there, yes? So butyric acidum in there.
Butyric acid.
So, butyric acidum, they make another soil bacteria or intestinal bacteria to help. So this is the butyric acidum make a GABA. GABA is a reduce stress.
So it increases the GABA levels to reduce the stress.
That's right.
Okay, very good, very good. No other questions here at the moment, but people are obviously very interested in the combination between toxins and bacteria and soil and farming. Sachas from Kenya is writing now that he is very grateful to get these wonderful answers, and he will go and contact you, Torako. He's going to recommend it to Martha for the children with the behavioral disorder.
Yeah.
So this is the beauty of these interdisciplinary talks, because we have people from different countries of the globe listening, and we have different countries here talking, representatives of different countries, and there's such a knowledge mounting up. I really enjoy that.
Me too.
So you said in this liquid you have more than 600 bacteria.
Yeah.
This is great. This is great. I remember the effective microorganisms from Professor Tero Higa, but they were not so many.
Well, because this is the EM, they call the EM. EM is they don't like sunshine. They don't like oxygen. This bacteria is some are no oxygen. Some are with oxygen. Some are they like sunshine. Some are not like the sunshine. So variously, variable thing there, you know. Not only one bacteria dominator shouldn't do this way.
Okay.
And very kind of, if it's the situation is different, so that's suitable to this situation, then many way to survive bacteria we need it, yes. And then also this bacteria have the nucleus, have the some are 13 nucleus, not only one nucleus in it, you see. Therefore, one nucleus die, but another one replaced. Another one die, another one replaced. Therefore, there's very strong this one. So that's kind of not bacteria, kind of funguses, bacteria, funguses in the between. Fungus.
Okay. I understand. So it's much more variety and obviously more adaptable.
Yes, because we have to do many degrees. No degrees. Change somehow. Okay, nuclear stuff into the soil. Yes, then we have to clean this nuclear. One of the soil bacteria called Rhodococcus in it. Rhodococcus, they like to eat nucleus, radiation, and they eat radiation, nucleus radiation, turn into baruta. Cesium turn into baruta. So this kind of stuff, they do it. So, baruta carb or baruta miwa, do you understand?
Yeah, I understand. So it's
Cesium,
those
cesium is
bacteria.
nuclear radiation.
Yeah,
Cesium is dangerous, but baruta is not dangerous.
yeah.
But this soil can change to the unharmful baruta from a cesium. That is very important.
So these bacteria, they eat the radiation and they eat the isotopes and they make barium carbonate, barium
That's right.
fluoride from it, which
Yes.
is not harmful anymore.
If you do so, if it, intestine have the good flora, even you drink, radiation, nuclear radiation, but if it is strong enough, your body flora, they may change to this harmful radiation to non-harmful element, become unharmful element. That is very important. So we should get a healthy intestine, also colon. We should do it. So which meaning you eat vegetable, root vegetable a lot. Root vegetable have a lot of, if you wash it, like a spinach, like a radish, carrot, this a root vegetable. If you wipe it, clean it, and wash it, flora stick into there anyway. Soil flora is stick into there anyway. Even you are boiled, some flora, no problem over the 100 degree or 150 degree, no problem at all. They will survive.
Good.
Yeah.
Very
So
good.
from all this talk, I can understand that in India, when we do the fasting, we are advised to have the root vegetables, like the sweet potatoes, those vegetables which are roots, even the groundnuts which are grown underground. So all these things are promoted. While in doing the fasting, we have all these things. And coming to the fermented things, I can say since our grandmothers and grandfathers, since those times, we have already seen that they used to give their children, they also, while they go out for farming or to the work, before that, early morning, they would have that fermented rice, which would have kept overnight. They will just put some water in that and then they keep it overnight, and the next day morning they will have it with some garnishing, and then they will resume with their work until 2 or 3 o'clock. Then they will have the lunch. So this habit of having the fermented rice, it's more towards in the rural areas. I don't know, nowadays everything is changing. All the traditional things are changing. And even rural areas will find that people going to McDonald's or going to the malls and having all those packaged tinned foods and all. So this thing, somehow people should realize that they should start eating healthy foods, homemade foods, vegetables, fruits, and all this.
That's right.
Yeah. I can remember the carrots of my granny's garden. They did not need really washing. They tasted perfectly with a bit of earth on. And I love to take them.
Yeah.
What kind of fermented food do you have in Australia, Jon?
Everybody takes encapsulated probiotic capsules because everybody has heard about the bad effects of antibiotics, but people are too scared not to take the antibiotics if they get sick. So they race out and buy encapsulated probiotic strains. But those people who we educate make their own kefir yogurt. And anybody who comes from Europe will be quite happy to make their own sauerkraut. So we try and encourage all our patients to have some form of natural fermented food every day, because that is, as we've learnt today, endemic from traditional cultures, and is very important in preserving the integrity of the gut flora, which I think is declining with each generation because of oral antibiotics and declining food practices.
Yeah, it's the food practice, actually. I see that it is very, very important. And one thing we didn't mention yet is that you can taste it, whether the one who cooks likes cooking or not.
Yes.
The other point I should say is we have to also remember that most people in the world are drinking water which is full of chlorine. And chlorine kills gut bacteria. So therefore, people should be encouraged to completely filter their water so they're not drinking chlorine.
True.
Yes. Water is another topic we should talk on one day. What we did with the water and what natural clean water in reality means.
Well, the other thing with water is many countries, not so much in Europe, I don't think, put fluoride in their water as well. Yes. Fluoride is an industrial waste product which has been marketed as helping to preserve the quality of tooth enamel. However, what it's done is that it's meant that there's widespread iodine deficiency in all the countries which put fluoride in their water, with the exception of Japan, of course, where they eat their seaweed every day. But in other countries, there's widespread iodine deficiency. And if you have iodine deficiency, you're asking for more problems like autism.
And Dr. John, I would like to ask that whether we are using that iodized salt nowadays, which is more common in every market, every shop that is available. It is too harmful. It is also harmful because not everybody is having the iodine deficiency. And we find in every shop in India the iodized salt. So I don't think it is necessary that everybody should have that iodized salt.
No, it's dangerous. I can tell you, as I'm a vet, I can tell you about a horrible experiment with rats. They gave rats salt with iodine, and the other test group didn't get salt, or at least not iodine. And the 7th generation of rats that did get the iodine salt were not able anymore to pass a labyrinth to get to some kind of food. A normal, just well-treated rat, well-fed rat, they find their way through any labyrinth. They are very intelligent and they get to the food. But what the rats of the 7th generation do when they get iodine, they follow without thinking the rat who knows the way. So by giving iodine salt to people, we make them less intelligent, but we make them followers.
Yes.
So people should have natural sources of iodine in their diets, just as they do in Japan by putting seaweed in their food. Yeah.
Or as we have the salt which comes from way down beneath the mountains, which has a lot of combination of different metals in it and components in it. This is a different thing. The kind of salt an elephant would eat. You know that elephants walk 300 kilometers to get some salt, eat a lot of it, and then go back to the natural forest?
Yeah, I heard somewhere. Very intelligent creatures there, elephants. Actually, animals have a lot of more knowledge about their They have an instinct towards even whatever diseases they suffer. They have an instinct that what can cure them. They go search for the things and then they get them. Even when I had a dog and a cat, I used to see that they used to go into the garden and search for some herbs, and they used to eat those herbs. So they have a natural instinct to get the medicines from the nature itself.
If they still have access to it.
Yes.
They will do that.
Yeah.
So I would like you to give a final comment on our talk today and your recommendation to all our listeners, because we are near to our closing time. Who would like to start? Some final words.
My final words would be like everybody should be conscious, because each individual makes a whole lot. So it's important that each one of us should be conscious of what we are eating and about our things, what we are doing for the nature, how we are contributing towards nature. That matters. So every individual matters. So each one of us should think on these lines and protect our health as well as others' health too.
Each one matters.
Each one matters.
Thank you. Jon or Torako, who wants to go on?
You go first, Jon.
Well, we've been talking a lot about toxicity, many forms of toxicity in our water, in our air, in our food, in the plants that we eat, in antibiotics. All these different things are what I would call toxicity. And the way we protect ourselves from the bad effects of these is to preserve our nutrition, because it's the good nutrition that we get which protects us. And I do agree that it starts in the gut with the quality of the gut flora, because that's what protects us, both in terms of our gut-brain axis, as you were saying before, and our immunity. Our immunity starts in the gut. So when we thinking about COVID-19, of course, worldwide, having healthy gut flora is what protects you. People talk about antibody protection, but they forget about the humoral protection, which starts in the gut, long before we talk about antibodies. So good quality gut flora and good nutrition from fermented food, homegrown vegetables and fruits, or at least vegetables and fruits grown in a good environment without chemicals, is so important to preserve human longevity and quality. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. So for me, if you could find impression is very important. Also, gratitude is very important. Appreciate, important. Also, altruism is important. Give somebody to benefit. So such kind of thing, if you do so together, impression, gratitude, altruism together will be happy. Also, even you got the accident, even you got the injury, you got the pathogen, seems this is a very inconvenience for you. But this happen on you. So receive it. Because this is necessary to have you to have illness. This is God present for you. Anything happen on you, comes on you. We cannot say, I don't want to have this. Already happened there. Accept it. Love each other. This is the important thing. I think so.
Thank you. That reminds me on a tradition we have in Austria and Germany, and I guess other people in the world too, praying before eating and blessing the food.
That is there in India too.
Yeah.
Everywhere too. We pray before eating food. We remember the God and are grateful for all the things which we are getting, you know, especially the food which we eat. We are grateful for that. And always being grateful to the nature is one thing we can do. It's a very simple thing. So when we are emotionally grateful, automatically the deeds which we do will also be good towards the nature.
So at least this everybody can do, bless the food and pray before eating. And from there you can go on and start to grow your own food and just make a little difference in the world. Be the difference you want to see. My dear colleagues, thank you very much for attending this live talk today. Thank you very much for sharing your knowledge and your wisdom. And I hope we will meet again.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Namaste.
Bye.